We're really happy you're with us this afternoon. Today we are coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio with Nicole Washington. She's a food and mommy blogger at Be Sugar Mama. She shares comfort and soul food recipes that are quick, easy, affordable, and family friendly. And who doesn't want that? So a big warm welcome to Girls Night Live, Nicole Washington.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in today. And thank you also for that warm introduction. As mentioned, my name is Nicole Washington. I'm out here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I am the food blogger and recipe developer for Brown Sugar. Nope, that's not my name. It's just the name of the blog. So I always have to tell people that that's correction. Full disclosure, I have a kid who is in the back and sleeping. And parents, you guys know how this works. They really run the show. But I have every bit of confidence that she will hopefully give us this time together to go through this recipe without any interruptions. So today I will be making my baked apple ice cream bowls. So there's a lot of fall things going on. Fall actually happens to be my absolute favorite season. I look forward to it. Like after Labor Day, it's completely fall, even though it's still kind of like warm around here. I hate warm fall weather. It's super weird. But anyway, so yeah, I absolutely love fall, and I really in the fall spirit. So my house stinks and reeks of pumpkin and apple in a good way. So today we're making a very simple recipe that is on my blog. It is my baked apple ice cream bowls, where you don't need a real bowl. Just take an apple, just like this, because they are in season, and you turn it into a bowl and you bake it, put ice cream in it, and you can eat the whole thing. It's great for kids. It's great for parties. It's just great for fall. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So the apples that you can use, it really depends on you. There are a lot of apples out there, many types of apples. Some I have never even tried. My personal favorite is the Honeycrisp. Show of hands of how many people love Honeycrisp. I can't see the hands, but I can see the hands. Honeycrisp is, they are amazing. They are firm, they are sweet, they are juicy, and they are perfect for a recipe like this. But also Granny Smith too, if you're a person who prefers the sweet and like tart side, it's whatever floats your boats, okay? So you can do whatever. And these are Gala. I like Gala. They're very close second to Honeycrisp. So whatever you want to do is fine. The ones that I personally would probably yield away from are probably the Washington apple, just because they tend to already have like a mushy texture. So my fear of using those, and you absolutely can try it, it's not a no-no, but because they're already mushy in texture, it may not make for a great consistency after they are baked. But you absolutely can test it and see if that's all that you have, go for it. But I prefer for this particular recipe, a more firm apple. Now, what we're gonna do is create a bowl using this apple. And I'm gonna show you how to do it. But one of the easiest ways that you can do it, which I don't have here, so I'm gonna show you like a very genuine, authentic way to use just a regular paring knife and a spoon to make this beautiful thing into a bowl. But you can absolutely buy an apple core. If you go to my blog, besugarmama.com, and search for this recipe, there is a link there that can take you to buy one if you want to, where you just take the cord, pop it in the middle, and then you can kind of scoop out some more of the flesh if you want to. But if you don't have that, you just have a knife and spoon like me. Now I'm going to show you how to do it. So you take an apple, and then I'm going to take my paring knife, and I'm going to, hopefully you guys can see this, I'm just going to cut. And this is not going to be, please be careful, but this is not about to be super perfect. I'm just going to kind of cut around the middle, like where the cord is, and then just kind of work my way. So that part is off, and I'm just going to keep digging. Let me get my bowl so the flesh can go in here. So I'm just going to keep digging. And while I dig, let me tell you a little bit about me. So I'm actually not a full, see, I'm just kind of going in a circular motion. I'm not a full-time blogger. I'm a working mom, like many of you. I am a marketing professional, but I blog. I mean, it is kind of a full-time job there too, but I do blog and share recipes that I know that working families would appreciate. And then, pause real quick about me. I'll take my spoon and just kind of scoop out some seeds here. Scoop out the inner. So you can see now we have a nice little opening. Now it's really up to you how much of the opening you want. If you want to leave a little bit more flesh in there, you can. I'm going to scoop out a little bit more and keep talking to y'all. So anyway, yeah, so I work regular 9 to 5. My kids go to daycare, all that. But I really enjoy cooking and I really enjoy baking. It's not something that I grew up doing. It's something that didn't really take flight for me to like later in my 20s, early 30s. And I just really been into it ever since. So I totally understand the woes of the world when you like, I have worked 8, sometimes 10 hours and I don't have anything to cook. Dare do I go through the fast food line? No. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you get those chicken nuggets from Wendy's and you call it a day. I totally understand that. But most of my recipes are simple, easy to do. Some you can make ahead, some you can freeze, some only takes 30 minutes, some even take less than that. So I'm with you, parents. You got me there. So as I am cutting this out, I'm going to pause and see if anyone has any questions about this step or me at this moment.
Not yet.
No, not yet. So I'm going to keep going. All right. So here we go. There is a nice little opening, and you see all I used was a paring knife and a spoon. And you just kind of scoop until you get to the place where you like it, right? So the next step, I'm gonna put this to the side, is I'm gonna take some butter. First, let me get my little baking rack here. So then you're gonna take some butter, and then you can use your hands. I'm just gonna go ahead and use a pastry brush, and then you just coat this thing with all that butter, all that butter, all that butter. Now, you don't want to use butter if you want to try to stick to the healthier side and use coconut oil, you can. Or any other alternative healthier butters, you can. I would yield away from using any heavy oils like vegetable oil, canola, I don't know about that. Because you may have it may taste funny, right? So, but definitely use the butter. Butter makes everything better. TM, don't take it. I might use that for a shirt or something. Butter makes it better. Oh, I like that. Okay, I mean it. TM, don't take it. Okay, I'm even going to coat the inside. So at this point too, let me go back up. You should preheat your oven to 375 degrees. Okay. Any questions so far about what I'm doing?
You actually got, when did you first, Camilla, Instagram, when did you first learn to cook?
Something in my brain happened to me when I was 28, and I don't mean that like seriously. I don't know. It was just, and it's something I grew to do. I definitely am not. I didn't go to school. I may have taken a class here or there just out of general interest, but it's just something that triggered and took flight. Probably because I was single and I had nothing else to do, so all I was doing was cooking for my friends. So that's probably what that was. Because definitely in my college years, I'm a graduate of the University of Cincinnati, so I was sticking to the pizza roll, the Hot Pockets. I was that chick. So it wasn't then. So it was just as I started to mature into my womanhood, it's probably when the cooking bug kicked in.
Okay, we can do one more for now.
Yeah.
Can the baked from Facebook, can the baked apples without the ice cream be made ahead of time and frozen for later use?
I don't know if how that will work frozen, because when they're baked and you're going to season them, because I have them baked, if you freeze them, I'm not sure. And now you can try it. I have not. I'm not sure what the consistency will look like if you unthaw them. I'm not sure. So my recommendation to whomever is interested or asks that question is to do like a trial, freeze one, and then unthaw it, like let it sit out at room temperature, And then maybe put it in the microwave to nuke it to get it a little warm, and then let me know how it, and come back and let me know. Visit me on my blog, email me. You can email me at cupcake at bsugarmama.com. Let me know how that turns out. I'll be really curious. And if it turns out, I will definitely place that as a recommendation for my viewers. Okay, so the next step, now that we have coated the outside of the apple with butter, and even put some on the inside too. We're gonna take some light brown sugar, and I just kind of put it in like a pan here. You can put it on a plate. It's not a big thing. It's not a thing. And take some apple pie spice just to really bring out that apple warm feeling. About 2 tablespoons or so. And this is about 1 1/4 cups of light brown sugar. And then just kind of spread everything around. Now, another thing that you can do is finely chop, like really finely chop some pecans if you want, or walnuts, and put this in here, because it's going to help give it an extra crunchy coating, you know what I'm saying? Like, you might like that. So, my son has a tree nut allergy, and it's a bad one. Like, I remember one time I scooped something out that had walnuts in it, and I used the same spoons. Didn't have the walnuts on it, but to give him some ice cream, and his face just turned super, super red and blew up like, the trumpet player. I can't think of his name right now, but my brain. So yeah, so we really got to be careful about tree nuts in this house. So I went ahead and mixed together just some brown sugar and some apple pie spice. And now I'm going to take my apple, roll it, and coat it. And what's going to happen, guys, is when these things bake at that high temperature of 375, it's going to make and leave a nice little crunchy coating on the outside. You're going to see here in just a second. Now, you can sprinkle a little bit on the inside, but you don't really need to, because the sugar from the apple fruit itself is going to actually have caramelize too. So you don't really need that much sugar in the inside, but just a little bit is fine. So, and you can see that's really heavily coated on all sides. And this amount of sugar with the apple spice would make about 4. Okay, 4 good apples, about this size or smaller. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to pretend it's going to be like TV magic, or virtual TV, I don't know, whatever. Put this in the oven for 30 minutes. So 30 minutes later, as they always say on the cooking shows, voila! Now, these are Honey Crisp. I made these earlier, and they definitely were not as big as those. So they may shrink a little bit just because they're cooked down, but you can see, look at that. You see how soft that is to the touch? You can really see, and you can really see the coating, like what happened with that brown sugar as it baked. So it leaves this nice little funky little crust right there. It's absolutely insane and delicious. And I'm gonna pause and see if anyone has any questions while I rinse my hands.
We have a few. So Ariane from Instagram, do you think this would also work with pears for those people with apple allergies?
Okay. Yeah, I don't see why this wouldn't. I would imagine you would have to cut, because how the pear is shaped, I would imagine you would probably cut that slimmer part off completely and then scoop it around and make the bowl that way. But absolutely, this will totally work with pears as well if you prefer pears.
Okay, and we have, would you consider this, obviously not the first round when you use the knife, but would you consider this like a kid-friendly recipe? Do this with
absolutely. I think this will be really good to show like kids, like my son, and he's 4. So things that transform, like transformations, really intrigue him. Like when he sees me take cream, but to him it's like milk, and it turns into whipped cream because he likes whipped cream, he thinks it's magic. So if you can take an apple that you probably serve with your lunch or serve with lunch or as a snack, and you can show them, hey, look, and you can eat the whole thing. I absolutely think this is something that will embed in your kid's life. I mean, yeah, absolutely not the cutting part. Maybe if you cut, or here's a thought. Maybe once you cut the hole, you can just get them to take the spoon and keep scooping if you think that would be helpful. But absolutely, I think this is a kid-friendly recipe. I didn't have my son like help me with it, but he definitely was a part of this process, like help me tagging on sugar, making this like a little sundae, which I'm going to do here in just a second. Let me pull this back so you can see. That definitely is the fun part for him, the most fun part for any kid.
Okay, these last two, and they're kind of similar in that
Okay.
Sophia from Instagram wants to know why, I guess, or when did you decide to become a blogger? And then tagging on to that, Madeline from Facebook wants to know, how do you develop a blogger following?
Ooh, girlfriends. All right, let's see. I did not say, when I went to college and paid $1 million to get my bachelor's and my master's, I did not say, I'm going to be a blogger, mom. No, that wasn't that. I wanted to be several things. I wanted to be a publicist. I wanted to be an A&R coordinator for like a major record label. That was the first thing I wanted to do, like coming out of high school. I wanted to be like a high corporate marketing exec. So none of these things happened. I do work in marketing professionally though, but the common denominator for all of those things to me was just being able to be creative, and I'm definitely a creative. So when I started the blog, initially I have a half brother and a half sister in Europe, and my first blog was called Tickle My Fancy. It had nothing to do with food. It actually had nothing to do with anything. It was just something I called because at the time I used Blogger, not WordPress. It was like a documented journal, just something for them to get to know me, because we didn't grow together. And then one day, I'll tell you exactly how this turned around for me. We had a potluck at the place that I worked at before. And I was like, you know what? Usually I was that chick that I'll get the buns or the breads or the drinks. But in this case, again, just being single and in my late 20s, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna make some cupcakes. I'm not gonna make any, and I don't want to do box cupcakes, right? I've always done box cupcakes. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with funfetti. Okay? Always go to the funfetti. Funfetti is amazing. But anyway, I made green tea cupcakes and I wrote about it to my brother and my sister, and I posted the recipe and I posted the picture. I didn't know I was blogging, right? And then I just kept doing it. And then I was like, oh, you know what? This is gonna be funny. Okay. And then I said to myself, you know what? I'm gonna start a food blog. Ooh, no one has done that. You're right. Okay. I thought I was doing something, and then as I got more into it, my mind was blown by the established bloggers, like obviously the infamous Pioneer Woman, How Sweet Eats, let's see, Sally's Baking Addiction. And I'm like, oh man, I really thought I was doing something and I'm not. So, so that's how I landed into blogging. And initially I didn't want to do it as a career. I didn't think I could do it as a career. I didn't think you can make money. And then I'll never forget, I made my first little check. It was $25.03 or something like that from Google AdSense. And I was like, ooh, this is nice. And then as time went on, not knowing what I was doing, I saw what it could potentially be. And I have a lot to thank my husband for that. He kind of planted the seed, and then slowly but surely other bloggers around me, that my blogger friends and people that I just grew to admire, truly respect. I saw how they were leaving their professional careers and going to blogging full time. And obviously that is definitely the goal for me. But, I'm definitely happy to say I'm still working in a marketing space. So I'm still fulfilled with doing what I do professionally, but yeah, it is a goal to be a full-time blogger. So in terms of the following question, I want to be honest, this is probably gonna be bad. I don't know, to be honest, how you build a following. The following I have is completely organic. I did not buy followers. I did not do any of that stuff. It's completely organic. One thing I can say, somebody else may have a different perspective, maybe perhaps even a better answer. But for me, it's consistency in connecting with your community. I much rather have a low number of following, but a high level of engagement with my community because they feel like they can relate to me as just another woman who is going through the same thing, who is struggling with what to put on the table at the end of the day, who has struggles with how to parent in a pandemic, which I was very vulnerable with my following last week, because last week was a really rough week for me. It really truthfully was. I'm going to be fully transparent. That's the one thing you can count on me for. My following knows, and I want to be very honest about, my personal revelations and findings when it comes to being married. Going from my following, when I started blogging, I was single. Now I'm married. So everyone saw me from being single to dating, to being in a serious relationship, to being engaged, to being married. And they witnessed me share my experiences of giving birth to my 2 children. So yeah, most of my people grew up with me, even call my kids by their name, which at first kind of freaked me out, but it's okay. So I think to answer your question, to grow the following is just to be you. There is some marketing tactic and skill things involved. Obviously we can talk about on another day, like, how to find the appropriate hashtags, when to post and all of those things. But I would say for me, it's just being genuine and vulnerable and sharing what's real. So we get back to making these sundaes. So now that we have the baked apples, let's make the sundaes. So I'm gonna put in some ice cream. Now, you can do vanilla, you can do butter pecan, which I actually bought, and I might try that later because I think that'll be really, really good. Or you can do pumpkin pie ice cream, which I actually have a recipe for that on my blog. So anyway, I'm going to take one of these apples. Let's see. And I'm going to take a scoop of my vanilla ice cream. You can see. And look at that. Awesome sauce, right? Now, here's the kicker. We can make this apple on apple, right? So while we've been talking, I made an apple topping here. The recipe is on my blog. And really all it is some butter, some cream, and some brown sugar, and some diced apples. Really simple. You're just gonna cook it till your apples and some apple pie spice or cinnamon, whatever you got. You're just gonna cook it till it gets really soft and caramely. And then, watch this. Look at that sexiness, sexiness. Ooh. Sexy mine. And then, because I'm still crazy, right? These are candied pecans, and there you have it. Baked apple ice cream bowls that you can totally make however you want, whatever ice cream you want. You don't have to make the apple topping if you want. You can just do ice cream and apple. You don't have to use pecan. You can use chopped walnuts. You can use whatever you want. Or you can just eat the apple, And the thing, what I hate about some cooking shows is how you are engaged the entire time and you watch them make this beautiful thing. You're like, ooh, that looks good. And they have the audacity to eat it in your face. Well, I'm sorry. I'm going to do the same thing. While I take a bite, are there any questions? That's it, though. That's the recipe. It's not a heavy lift. It's perfect for if you're doing like a family fall thing, a harvest party, or anything like that. This is perfect for those. These are very festive for those. You can bake the apples ahead of time. Like I made these apples right here, not an hour or two ago. I just kept them at room temperature so they don't get cold, because I think we get cold, it tastes awkward. When you put the ice cream and stuff on it, just sit them out at room temperature, put those out as bowls and make like a little, I'm thinking like a little ball sundae bar. You could put out some dried cranberries, some pecans, some walnut. You can make this apple little pie topping or whatever floats your boat. You can make pie crisp, where you take some pie crust, okay? Listen to me. Some store-bought pie crust, bake it and brush it with a little butter, sprinkle with a little sugar, bake it in the oven for about 10 minutes so it can get crisp, and then cut those into strips. And then people can use that. So it's like an apple pie ice cream bowl. You know what I'm saying? Stick with me. I'm gonna take you places. So while I'm being really rude, and I'm about to eat this in y'all's face, I will take more questions.
First of all, that looks terrific. And I'm surprised that your child hasn't woken up and run in knowing what was in the other room that they could eat. But what I will do, I will share just so people can see just how good this looks. Those donuts look ridiculous. So does the mac and cheese, but you can start to see her blog, and even just the fall charcuterie board looks like fun, cinnamon twists. So just like a fast look at, there we go. There's our ice cream bowl, which looks wonderful. And you can see all the different things that she has going on here. So I figure we'll share that while just make everyone's mouth water just that little bit more. But Nicole, why don't you let everybody know? Let me just see. I think something popped in there. We see a lot of your recipes look amazing and delicious and yum. All those kinds of things are popping up in the chat. But why don't you let everybody know how they can find you?
Yes, so you can find me on my website at B Sugar Mama. That's B, just the letter B, Sugar Mama, MAMA.com. You can follow me on Instagram, Brown Sugar Food Blog. There I post stories about my kids, my crazy personal thoughts, my constant runs and slight addiction to Starbucks. I cannot wait for the caramel brulee latte that's gonna come out during the holidays. Woo! That's what I live for. The pumpkin spice latte is pretty good too, but the caramel brulee, something about that. So you can see me and my addictions about that. Even TikTok, I'm relatively new to TikTok. I haven't really figured that out yet, but I do have some really funny things there and some food things there, the same Brown Sugar Food Blogger. Facebook, you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on YouTube, you can find me on pretty much all the popular channels. Twitter, B Sugar Mama, to engage and connect with me. Feel free when you are on my website to subscribe, because I do send out meal plans. So if you're like, oh my God, what am I gonna cook this week? Which I do all the time. I'm gonna give you some ideas. Don't worry, I got your back. They give you some ideas for you to do, and some you can cook ahead, you can freeze, all of those things. So that is how you can find me. I'm gonna keep eating this bowl. Any questions about me or this recipe that I can't stop eating?
I think we don't have any more questions. So what I think we're going to do is say goodbye to everybody out there on social media land, and we're going to stop our live stream. And then